Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Well, good morning. I'm just looking here. Just getting in. So we have inflation data today. We're at about 5 minutes. We did have a little bit of a move up. Oh, that's very interesting. I think I see some people saying Bank of Japan. Let's check, what does CNBC say? Bonds. No, I don't see anything too big, but a Bank of Japan would definitely change things. But since then, it's been pretty quiet, so I see a market that people just aren't interested in stepping in front of. So let's get. No, need to mute. Okay, let's get the links. No, what? That's not right either. If now. There we go. Okay. Now we should also pull up Twitter here so we can get the news and the squawk and everything.
%, spending, reading of remaining Canadian product price materials price index for June.
So this personal spending, I think, is the one that I'm really interested in.
Print, we've got dollar CAD pretty flat in this, around 134.
I mean, I don't know if PC is gonna be super big. I mean, if it was like more than, if it was like 0.2 or 3, then obviously that would matter. But this personal spending is the one that's been off. I'm much more interested in that. But we're going to see a situation. I don't think that there's very many people in this market, so I think we're going to see a situation where a lot of people take positions off of the open and not necessarily want to be involved in that. So.
One minute. seconds. Personal consumption spot 3%, income spot 4%, for PCE spot 1% year on year, 1 spot 9%, later spot 1% year on year, 2%. Canadian GDP month on month, material prices
Bearish numbers.
coming.
I mean, bullish for treasuries, but bearish for the economy.
Canadian GDP month on month spot 5% to recap that year, coming in at 2 spots. Industrial product price month on month coming in at spot 5%. And the raw materials price index. At the US, personal income spending percent, later month year 2%. Prior there, downward to 2%. Employment cost.
It's mostly in line though.
Prior being upward to.
Sure enough, it comes right back. So, based off of what we just saw there, I'm going to say we're not likely to see a huge move off of the news. Because that was not a huge. Now it was somewhat buying, but it's kind of back and forth here. And it did come back. Yeah, it didn't really move the cumulative delta. That's yeah. So we could continue to be range bound until the FOMC. Yeah. They try to get people excited there at 15, but it's just not going. And the cumulative delta is basically flat. Oh. Bitcoin did finally take a dive. I'm wondering if so I see some support here at 13.5. You see some people stacking at 13 and 13.5. They're stacking up here too, but mostly they're stacking here. And we ticked down and they stacked at 15.5. 5K, I think that's a lot. So we might get a test of 13.5. And that might be where we might see somebody go offsides. Man, that 14 is getting a little... This might actually be a buy. I think I would rather buy it at 14.5, and they're not going to give me a chance to, so... I'm seeing this one we get to about 7,000. And I don't recall if I saw some stacking when they tried to buy here. I actually seen 100 come off. I think we might get another rush of buy volume and see this stack. Let's see. But I don't like 15 as a price. It's right in the middle. it's the risk reward isn't as great because I still see 13 and 13.5. Got an iceberg against, yeah, pretty big one now. So yeah, I don't think I could buy into that. If they push down though, maybe we could fade that. If things went right. If we see the right signal. Okay, so now it's 7. But they're not really reacting to that yet. There is a little bit of a driver here in the 5-year. Did somebody get caught there? 30 years not pointing the right way. Immediately looks like it's about to bust highs. That would not necessarily speak to lower. So I see one thing that could potentially say we stop and turn around here. And I see another thing that could maybe give it fuel. But then I see this does not correlate. This does not correlate. Currencies don't really correlate either. So I'm gonna have to say no trade.
Will hurry.
Oh wow, I didn't see that Donald Trump had tweeted about the Koch brothers. Oh, look, they did take it. You could still get filled at 15.5. The globalist Koch brothers, who have become a total joke in real Republican circles, are against strong borders and powerful trade. I never sought their support because I don't need their money or their bad ideas. Gosh. I mean, he does have a point. He did not take their money. They love my tax and regulation cuts, judicial picks, and more. I made them richer. The network is highly overrated. I've beaten them at every turn. They want to protect their companies outside the U.S. from being taxed. I'm for America first, and the American worker a puppet for no one. Two nice guys with bad ideas make America great again. That's why people elected him, guys. Right there. Somebody that's not afraid to just shit all over the two biggest donors in the Republican Party. Good grief. Look at that 15. So we were seeing the stacking at 14. It is now 68, but there's 76 at 14.5 and 7 at 15. That's a little crazy. Now you're still talking about risking, but maybe 3 or 4. Well, it could go all the way to 13. Let's keep in mind, like, there's a possibility to go to 13. And you're maybe making 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I feel like it's still in the middle. I'm just not quite, it was a little stingy there, because there was, there was obviously a tick in it. Probably more than that, since they're absorbing so much at 15.5. Now, interestingly enough, the volume is coming in short, which is really interesting. I'm not in a trade, but what I'm seeing kind of makes me uncomfortable. This whole thing just feels like a trap. Hey, lots is not bad, Waddle. So humble.
Just a heads up, that's under 10 minutes time. For logic, a Schiller, 20 month on month, easy adjust. Looking for high reading. Print is sent. Prior print. It's easy adjust. No estimate. Prior reading.
This is the change in the selling price of single-family homes in 20 metropolitan areas. And it was 6.6 last time. Expecting 6.4. Okay. The buying spike did not tick up, did it? A potential short right there. I think that it's gonna. Well, I don't want to get in and ahead of the news, but after the news, it might give us a location there because there was a lot of buy volume there that did not follow through, and it's getting thick on the top. It's probably not quite enough. I would really like to see this blue here. Would like to see some red before I would like actively sell, but looking a little bit better for a short. I think after that move got out, that if I had been in, I would have to be taking a profit now. Oh boy. Donald Trump is doing a rally tonight. It's looking probably going to say something that really upsets people. Like he'd probably attack LeBron James. You watch. 80% chance that he attacks LeBron James. If this one at 15 is dropped by about 1,000. Actually showing it stacked? That doesn't seem right. It's unfortunate that it's not really giving us a very good trade opportunity today because I feel like really alert now. I'm not falling asleep during this. Maybe 30 minutes from now I will be falling asleep, but Hmm. John has a good point here that the overnight TPOC, that would be time profile, right? Of point of control is 143.05. And the midpoint is their 143.01. And this is the top of what we would call the bull bear zone.
Just under 3. Bottom of the footprint of year. On spot 2%, year on year 6.1%, and for the 6%, we do have month on month downward and from a spot. Has been 6%.
So that would be something that could push us down, but they don't appear to really be reacting to it. And in fact, I just see the delta going up.
From and the second quarter economy expanding to 7% from earlier.
Hmm. Well, if we consider this 14.5 the bottom of the range now instead of 13.5. Mind you, there is still that 13.5. It was like the last like pivot low, but we stopped at 14.5 this last swing, so we assume that's the bottom of the range. You could maybe buy 15.5. I'm going to be watching this. Well, if you wanted to get along 15.5, they're not giving you much of an opportunity at the moment, are they? Okay. There would have been your film. And as it did do what I wanted. Well, let's just see what happens. I don't think I'm gonna get filled though. Nope. Hmm. Kind of don't like what I'm seeing all of a sudden.
In FX news, just seeing the Mexican peso weak versus the US dollar after Q data.
In FX here, we're just seeing a bit of dollar weakness following the PCE core and deflator numbers. Dollar strength is seeing cable trade close to session lows at around 131. Trading up 70.
The 8:55 and 9 o'clock nodes don't seem to be having any real effect on prices yet. Still seem to be trying for higher and stuck in a 7-tick range, yes. So here comes the buying again. And last pivot was 17. Okay. So they pulled at 16.5. Sure enough, they plow right through it.
In FX, we are seeing this potentially on banks on that Greek banks systemically breach liquidity requirements. That's that Greek banks. fixed income getting the release. JP Morgan Treasury finding a 5% percentage long percentage the neutral clients long points.
Basically means this last little leg up was some short covering. Getting squoze out. Well, I definitely don't think you can short it now. I don't like, I mean, this looks like it could pop. This looks like it could go, but I think we missed the low risk entry at 15.5. I kind of just didn't quite anticipate it. So I'm still kind of showing it down there. See, the 5 years at a critical inflection point, and it's not showing any significant signs that they're gonna put pressure on it down. But I think that they could bust through the top of that range there. Okay, well, there's an iceberg at 17. Iceberg at 8. Let's at least reset it. That does make it a potential stopping point, but if one of these prices can get over 3,000 in the 5 year. I haven't really seen anybody get like seriously offsides yet either. This is the only place where I really saw anything weird was back here. It was at 15. Should have hit into that 15. And you have had some buying that looked like it could potentially stop it, but it never quite got the follow through that you would need, you know. They've been slow and cautious. The risk reward here could make sense for a short, because the top is 18, so you could potentially sell 17 or 16 half.
In FX, we're just seeing dollar strength continuing. I'm seeing dollar advance now, the 82 handle.
The risk reward makes sense, but the market orders say we're still buying. So remember, I didn't take it because I said, oh, I want 2 to 3 ticks risk, and I thought risk was 13.5. And at 15, it was 1, 2, 3, 4 ticks. And so, yeah, that was my logic. But it was a good long signal. Perhaps it just still correct that the risk reward in that case maybe didn't make it a very good trade, but sure can't help but feel like I missed it, you know? Okay. So there they take it. So 8 was the top, right? And I'm not seeing it. Showing any signs of stopping. Now they've got 8 down at 15.5. Well, that one I find a little bizarre because, at least at the moment, it's really making it look like we could just keep going. Like 8 is a potential stopping point, but it's so thin up here on the offer that there's no reason they couldn't bust through it and hit 21. And this has been a pretty strong buying trend, so it could totally do it. But then you've got this 15.5. And it's like, why would that continue to thicken up if we're just going to keep going higher? Why would you... What makes anything think that they're ever possibly going to get filled at 15.5? Perhaps they don't, and they're just doing it to kind of keep the buying going, but it still just doesn't, I don't know. Something about that doesn't sit right with me. Normally, when something thickens up like that, and then it doesn't get filled, you see it go back down to where it was before, and the orders move up a step. You're not seeing that anymore. In fact, there was like 2 or 3 prices that had 7 at it at one point, and now it's just all at 15.5. And they did step away from 18. You could sell 17. They are getting a little thick there at 18. I mean, I'm seeing the case for a short now. And the level 2 is possibly flipping. Okay, you see that flickering at 18? Hold off. Pulled a little bit. Now there's 6,000 at 17.5. Just on the edge of flipping here. This should, okay, let's put the order in. If this is what I think it is, then it might range back and forth here a couple of times. What about ZB? ZB's like okay, 12. Oh, there goes the E-mini. Just did something crazy. Oh, that's not happening. Well, we'll leave it in there. See what happened. Okay, but there's 13.5. Don't you wish? Aha, that's it. Go back, go back, go back.
US news, we're just hearing worse. Trade war. US and China are said to start talks to trade war.
That would do it for sure. Okay. I think I can use 14.5 as my reference point. No. I come back.
We're hearing that US officials are said to meet this week on China trade. Next US tariffs on as early as when.
So that, friends, is why you want to have the E-mini chart up. Because the bonds did not necessarily see it fast, but you saw it go in the E-mini, didn't you? Now, unfortunate that we were not filled short at 17. but kind of shows that it did seem a little fishy, didn't it? And look, when they traded at 15.5, there was only 5,000. So I don't know if the market knew. Yeah. I think John is asking there about the time because he wants to market. He doesn't necessarily care about analyzing the news, just that the news happened at that particular point and tracking it. Yeah, that's... Again, it shows there, if we had gotten short at 17.5, I'm not sure if people knew that that was going to happen and everything, but it's just kind of like your risk reward was good there. Good there, and there was a little bit of a signal. It was getting thick there. So, you know.
Block sell.
Nope. Okay. So that can be a signal to sell it at 13.5 sometimes, but that guy has often been like at the tail end of a move and it kind of stops there. So I want to be really careful here. It does look like I missed the entry to get back in on this. I would like to sell this at some point.
And this story that we're seeing, I think, like Mnuchin and Lou He are having private conversations. This was a story that kind of broke yesterday, brand new, in terms of ongoing discussions as much Treasury Department.
Hmm. Okay. Interesting. That buying came in, it just really just blew like right through it. 15 was the spot before. We could, so 14 and a half is an okay short. That did seem awfully, I don't know. The thing that's really interesting is that the book has not actually turned around. Shoot. What's going on here? That looks like a lure to me. Yeah. I say it looks like a lure because it's staying low and it keeps flickering up, but then they still continue to put size on the offer. And a lot is getting traded there. Mini looks poised to go and take a new high. Oh, jeez. They get below this 12, you could just go. Yep. So a lot pulled at 12.5. See negative 20, negative 2,000. I want to see a tick down. Again, well, okay, so it's stacking there still. Five years being extremely volatile at the moment.
Right, we're just under 10 minutes away now from the next bit of data. We got Chicago PMI data coming up now. For those that know the score, this is a private report out by will be out there for those that pick up that report. And in terms of what's expected, the headline for July expected to be 64, 33, range of 50.
There's a bit of buying in there. We can get another tick down. It'd be really good, but I'm actually thinking about bailing. Yeah, so the E-mini is not at the moment continuing to go and make a new high. Five-year is just being crazy. And this bid at 13 is not coming away. They're not. Look at the bid at 035 in the 5-year. They're going back and forth at 037 and it's just staying. And the 10-year's putting a little bit of pressure on. The 5-year is not. Through 5C. Nobody's even hitting it. Get a little bit of pulling. Too much of an iceberg, and I know there's news comes out in like what, 5 minutes? No, this is the one we get 5 minutes early. Yes. Correct. Right choice. We could sell 13.5 again if we wanted. I continue to be troubled that the bid posted this.
Right, we're just over 3 minutes now to the data from Chicago PMI. Just note that those with the private get in around 2 minutes before everything else.
Now
So
2
we're looking
minutes.
at 62.3 from 64.1 last range, 58.5 to 65.
I actually feel really good about that one because I saw the iceberg and I was struggling. I was like, okay, man. Shouldn't be doing that. Took it off. Right? Because what I wanted to see was it tick down and it just could still do it, so it might do it a little bit later. But with the news risk here, I want to stay out, let the news do its thing, see if they give us another opportunity. Because buying is not subsiding. Seems like there's a little bit of skepticism, like some people are saying we already knew this, or, you know, nothing will come of it. From my perspective, it feels to me like the other countries are starting to capitulate on the trade war. That they thought that they could fight it out and everybody would get scared and capitulate, but of course Donald Trump would take it to his grave if he had to. And so now they're saying, oh, maybe this isn't worth it. That's from my perspective, but I'm a Republican, so obviously if it was a Democrat, you're probably gonna not believe it. You're probably gonna say, no, Donald Trump's not going to win the trade war. They'll have talks and they'll break down, and we already knew this, and the situation hasn't changed. That's what they're gonna say.
Hearing of a big beat there for Chicago. Get the number out in about 20 seconds from now, but it is from
Something doesn't seem right because I'm not seeing volume come through.
under 10 seconds. 65.5, 65.5, 0.1 in June. Employment, the winner now. Fastest pace of growth is high. Faster pace, C. Prices paid.
Well, that's not. You notice that as this is selling, people are pulling off here and people are stacking here. That's super subtle. But that's not, it doesn't make sense. And pretty clear iceberg there.
Breakdown then. Production hit 6. To
And it ticks up and they pull. Okay, 15 is the price we can lean on. So for that, they caught 3,000 there. No, it doesn't. I don't know what my deal is today, guys, but I just don't like him. Okay, so lots going back and forth here. 14.5 now. What's with that? The E-mini is not just heading straight up. Notice they just stacked something there at 0.62. So that might actually be a buy-in. We're way too far away from risk to be taking. We're really kind of like in the worst spot to be taking a trade. Like all that volume at 14.5. Oh, I don't want to mess with that anymore. I think that they might build up a bunch of volume at 15 and 14 and get a nice distribution, and then you got to say, well, we're in the middle of it, so why take a trade there?
We're 10 minutes away now. Some more US data on the way. Conference consumer confidence, present situation, expectations, data out at the top of the hour.
That stack at 0.62 really concerns me. So I think right now I'm trying to be cognizant of the fact that we're in like a hyper. I was watching a webinar the other day that are talking about this. What was the term that they used? Like this, the stuff that we're seeing is intended to generate a response from us that, you know, it's intended to work against human decision making.
6 point range there, 120. Present situation last time round, 61 stations last 103.
So it's like, why shouldn't take a trade there? Should wait until something really weird happens that shouldn't happen. Yeah, so there's the 15. There's that volume. It's gonna go back and forth there. You can see them, they're still messing with it at 0.62. They're pulling and stacking and pulling about 20, 250 or so.
3 minutes to go before confidence. 126 quite easy from London. Here in a note, down marginally, slightly reflecting whether consumer fundamentals likely remain firm with steady job consumer elevated within the note. We've seen at 119 put 10,000 given.
So, we're not building cumulative delta through this buying range. And the offers are starting to outweigh the bids. I think that we might get another move. So right here, the risk reward doesn't really make sense either, but maybe we get a move up and bids become too much and we can take a short. Maybe. That would be a potential, but what I see right now is just, this isn't something I want to mess with.
7.4, 127.127 last time round. Present situation of 5.7. Stations at 101.2. As your party gets 15 versus 5.1.
I really want to short it, but I just don't see a spot. Like, you do it at 15 and then it could do either or. You know, the next, I think the only like really safe price that I could really short it would be 16 half. I could short it at 16 half and 17. I think somebody's getting sick of it. Sitting at 15, you see them trying to sell it there. I'm not sure what to make of this in the ES, because I mean they had a huge buy, but like now we're not really much higher than where we were before the news. So now I'm kind of seeing this thing where like I guess maybe you could do 150. Maybe you could do 150 and say that's the 155 is the VWAP, and you wouldn't see it go to 16. It's a possibility. This is my trading today is not normal at all. It is not normal at all. So I've literally only taken one trade, and it was for a tick. And there's been a lot of movement, like a lot of stuff has been happening, and I just you know, there was a long and there was a short that were available, but I was a little bit too afraid to take it. This one, the risk reward didn't really make sense. And I'm kind of glad that I didn't get in that move, because it was a really ugly, sloppy move up. This one, I didn't take it because I was just too afraid. Like, that was just too strong of a move up, and I didn't want to stand in front of it. But there would have been a really great trade, wouldn't it? So I didn't take that one. And then I did catch one down here for a tick. That was kind of more of my old time, looking for a continuation and then not going and only getting a tick out of it. Normally I would have tried to buy and sell it through there several times.
She's had mixed reception with Eckers. Major component of earlier today.
Was that an 11 tick zipper? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. that's unfortunate. So that one I really screwed up too because, oh man, look at the 5-year.
We have financial again. If this is headline, day is out in Paris.
So anyways, it was an 11 to 13 tick zipper. I should have sold it at 15 and taken it off at 13 and a half. But because I had already said that they're just gonna build volume here, and I don't like this location and everything, it doesn't make sense. I wasn't watching for it. Oops. Well, now the question is, do you get a reversal the other way at 12? I'm gonna say no. Probably not. Though we should stay and watch. But this is not nearly as thick as it was the first touch. Right? The first touch, this was like 7. Almost 7. Now it's 66. And it was at 120 that it was 7 as well. If I'm recalling that correctly. So here you can see it on the Vista chart. See that little white right there. And that was it. And that was your buy signal. Now I'm feeling sleepy. We got 15 minutes, so I really don't think I'm gonna take a trade. I think I'm just gonna take the one. Okay, so the ZB is hitting some major support here.
Executive working group to be set up to increase export elections and Trump.
Yay! Well, I think you might be getting another pivot here and possibly even a higher high. This could tick 16. And then what? Yeah. So this whole thing is really I mean I'm not gonna trade this. I'm really not. So I'm wondering, Keith, if you're listening, did you take the short at 17 or the long at where was the long at? 14 half? Did you take either of those?
Brunson. Seen the Turkish lira gain.
Hmm. The thing so I kind of see two contradictory things that's still kind of screwing me up. So when I look at it from like my usual perspective, I can see here higher high, possibly a higher low, possibly a higher high. Okay. Keith did take one of the two trades that I saw. So I do think I'm reading it a little I'm kind of see that particular trade that you talking about earlier a little better. Anyways, so in price action I see higher low, possible higher high, possible. And then over in the ZB I see this big order at 143 even. Now granted 143 even is the place where you're always going to see some volume and sometimes they just go through it. But it's really interesting that it wasn't there before. They just went right through it and now we've come back and they're showing support there and we've ticked up. Now, the thing that concerns me is this thing in a 5-year. So this, remember we saw some stacking at 0.62 and it's been there a very long time. So are we going to move up to that liquidity at 0.62? But then my thinking goes like, well, okay, let's just say that we buy it. because it looks like it's going to go higher. And ignore the risk reward here. If we bought it, you're going to get 16. And if we go up 4 ticks, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then ZF tends to go about twice as much. So where were we? When we were at 15, we were at 050. Okay, so we were still pretty far away from that ZF. And another thing is that the balance,
The S&P back with it well at the moment.
the balance here seems a little flaky. Oh, and the E-mini is going down too. So the E-mini going down, well, the E-mini going down does kind of support buying it. Okay, so now if we look at the risk reward of it, buy 14, you're saying that it's not going to go below 13. So, well, 13 or 12.5. So I think the risk reward to buy it at 13.5 actually does make sense. But yeah. Oh, so Keith sent me a message with a little thing, and now I'm realizing what he was saying. He was saying when it was right here, there was a weight on it, and there was nothing down there. Yeah, you know, I saw a lot of reasons to short that at 150. To be honest, I just didn't like where it was. I didn't like that we were like right smack dab in the middle. That's why I didn't take it. But I would have taken it. My trade is, this is one that I've done quite a bit of study on, and it's really, really esoteric, right? But if you're listening, and I think Keith already has heard this spill, but when you get a zipper like this where it's in a 2-tick range on a 1-range chart, and it goes back and forth 11 to 13 times, there's a 60 to 80%, well, there's an 80% chance that it reverses for at least 1 tick, and a 60% chance that you get out of it 2 ticks. So you would buy 15 and put your order at 13.5. You get a 60% chance of that getting filled. Let's slow down Ninja Trader here. Now you can see here in the 5-year there was quite a bit of size up above us. And what is this? What price is this? 037. It's kind of weird. Look at that stacking and pulling at 037. That might actually make this a short. The E-mini's going down, that's weird. Well, this chart crashed. My Ninja Trader just died for some reason. Oh, there we go. Well, it was able to close down with no problem. Now here's another thing. Is what is the deal with it's not there anymore. But you ever noticed how sometimes there's these random prices that just for some reason there's no size at? So like right here at 17.
Pompeo, an Iranian counterpart, ASEAN meetings.
Why is that? There's all this size up here, but then there's nothing at 17. I think that disparity there is something I've never seen before. Although I'm also finding that for looking at that particular thing, I don't think the Vista chart does a very good job at it. Some other ones might do a better job, but I think that if you really want to watch that, you want this snapshot column. Well, the snapshot column is telling me that the bids are stacking, or sorry, the offers are stacking above us in the 10-year at least, and the bids are pulling. You see that? They're doing that even despite, yeah. That's gonna move us. I didn't hear exactly what he said though. And I didn't hear that. That might move us. They said the low of the day, but I don't think it was Treasuries. So these are stacking, these are pulling, and there's this iceberg here at 13.5. Yeah, like they might sell this. See, ZB did make it through 143 even. And I'm seeing offers stack in the 5-year. And I'm seeing bids pull in the 10. So I think we could sell. I don't know if 13.5 is a super great risk reward location. but that's the iceberg. That's where you would have to take it. And the delta's all selling. Hmm. And now it's a 10K iceberg at 13.5. The only problem I have with that is, like, what's your risk? 14.5? I guess so. $14.5 and 12. So if it hits 12, then I think that we can see that we identified another one and missed. Okay, so I don't like the way that that one went. I'm still seeing the 5-year, the offers really pressuring us down in the 5-year. But there's some buying coming into the 30. What, by the way, what you're seeing in the 30-year right now is a really good example of the level 2 pattern that you'll see when it's trending. Overall, you're going to see that the offers are more. But all of the outsized, you're going to get like one outsized on the offer and like 2 or 3 outsized ones on the bid. And this one on the offer might not even necessarily be very big. But you get this kind of thing, and then the rest of them below that are like not very big prices. It's like people are short and they're just getting a little bit, and then they'll rotate back in and sell it again. That's where I get a little wary about saying that it's not a hard and fast rule that we always move, that we get this liquidity and then, you know, get stuck in it and move away from it. That's what it's happening right now, but when you look at it in the 30-year, it actually kind of looks like they're moving. In a way, it looks like they're moving into the liquidity.
Now, as UK says, it's 2.5, 1.6%, 2028 on the 8.
But I think what we're learning is it's much more subtle than that, isn't it? It's really more like you're looking at a specific price that matters and seeing what if that particular one is actually doing. Is how I feel right now. I had a college friend that made millions of dollars day trading. I thought, easy money. I didn't ever get into it, but several of our other friends did. Now they sell soap on the corner and matchsticks. Oh, man. Well, when was that? So, you know, the first introduction I ever had to day trading was I worked at an online gaming center is what they call it. It was a cyber cafe of sorts. And at the time, and this was like post 2001 crash, you know, people in the US were trying to make it work. It never really worked because, like, in South Korea, it worked because most of those people didn't have the money to actually own a computer. Here in the United States, it's like, why would you go to a cyber cafe? You can just do it at home. And the internet's good enough now that there's no real advantage to going to the cyber cafe. So they're not in business anymore. It was like when it came time to update the computers, of course, they didn't have the money to do it and they shut down. But they had fun. I think they enjoyed doing it and everything. anyways, there's this guy that came in, and he told me about that he used to trade at an arcade. So you would go in and you would pay a monthly fee, and they would give you the like the whole setup. You get the computer, and they take care of all the IT work, and you sit in the room, and so it's like you're trading in a prop shop, but you have to trade your own money, right? And he traded the .com boom and got absolutely hosed day trading when the 2001 crash happened. And I look at when people talk about day trading, and one of the problems that I see is that you get a strategy that works until it doesn't. So, especially in stocks, it's like, well, if stocks are going well and you're day trading stocks, then you're going to make money hand over fist, and then you're just going to lose it all in one day when that big crash comes, because you're not going to be able to manage it on the downside. I mean, theoretically you should be able to sell it, right? But for day traders and stocks, that tends to be not what happens. Now, Treasuries is a different story, right? Because they're not, on a longer time frame, they're much more range bound. They're not. I mean, on the day they tend to pick a direction and just move. So it looks like today they've decided that the move is lower, right? And I'm guessing that they'll probably keep going. Well, they made it. There was a 12K at 12.5, but look at the bids below us. It looks super weak, scary weak, and offers in the 5-year continue to show up and push us down. I think that's going to make a new low. Say that I should be taking the trade, right? But I just feel like I missed it. I missed that reach down because of my dogs. It's kind of weird because normally I trade too much, right? Well, what is it about today? Is it just that I'm seeing things better? Well, it's not just that I'm seeing things better. I think that what's happening is I think I'm seeing a couple of things that I didn't see before, and I haven't built up the confidence to trade it yet, because I definitely saw it there at 17, and why didn't I take it? Isn't that one right there? I felt like that was a sell right there when it was doing that. I don't know why I didn't take it. Take it there and then taking it off probably at 14. Why didn't I do it? And I haven't traded it enough times to feel that confident in it, I guess. Because it's a reversal. You're trading a reversal. This one is a continuation. This is my trade. I should be taking it, but the risk reward didn't make sense at the time. I could have sold 14. We said you would have sold 14, and if they take out 12, then it was a good trade, right? And I see there's the pressure continuing, so you'll hold it, but it does look like you're probably going to get filled at 12. So I think it was a good trade that I should have taken. So that is now, what was it? There was there was the buy, then there was the big sell, and then there was the 11-tick zipper, and then there's this. So there's 4 signals that I didn't take today. Really weird. Anyways, but I mean, on the other hand, wait, where'd it go? Oh, that's really weird. Profit loss window is all bugged up. Okay, there it is. I reset it and now you can see it. I don't know why. So it did take one. I got one tick and I had a profitable day yesterday. That's pretty good. Pretty good, pretty good. Well, let's post our Bitcoin charts. Okay, well, I've got to go. I really wish I could stay. Tomorrow I'm going to work from home so that we can watch the FOMC. So I'll see you tomorrow. I do wish I had taken some more trades, but you know, the kind of crazy action anyways, and we just missed some of them. It's okay. It's good that we at least saw them, even though I was too pussy to click. That's way better than what I was doing before, right? Where I was often going in way too late and trying to get on board at exactly the wrong moment. Anyways, yeah, and you know what the funny thing about this is that when this started, when we had the opening range right here, I said, well, the news didn't really move us much, so we could continue to be range bound. And like when you look at it, like yeah, we sold, but we're not even below yesterday's prices. So I guess when you really think about it, it really is kind of range bound, isn't it? Which would also explain why all of these reversals that I saw would have actually worked. Although I do think also we've got more to go. But we'll see this if this sell pressure in the 5-year lets up or not. It kind of looks like, you know, like I'm still seeing more format 045. It just looks like a lot of selling pressure in the 5-year. So let's see. Anyways, that's it. I will see you guys tomorrow.